Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And always we give peace and salutations unto the elect. Another episode going into news and prophecy, linking the things that are happening worldwide to the Holy Scriptures so that the faithful elect and remnant, all right, the remnant of Israel can know that these words that are written in the volume of the book are faithful and true as we chant down Babylon the Great and the coming of a righteous kingdom under who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, our mediator, our high priest, and our way back to the Father in these latter days. All right, and that the only way we have access back to the Father and all of the promises is through the blood of the only begotten Son of the Most High. That is the only way you can be covered as an Israelite. You can't be covered by your own righteousness. You can't be covered by how many fringes you wear. The only way you can be covered is through the blood of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Though we keep the law to the best of our ability, we know and understand we can never meet, all right, the technical measure that was required under that first covenant. So through the blood of Yahweh Shai, we have been entered into a grace period, all right, to where now we can be justified by our faith, by our belief, all right, and the death, burial, resurrection, and understanding that his blood, all right, was shed and he conquered death. And now that we know that, all right, we have the ability to have hope, faith, and a way out of this madman's kingdom that has been set up. And the reason you Edomites, you so-called white people, have what you have, okay, and again, this is not a black thing, right? We always got to put that out there because you have our people who are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, even here in America, are scattering, and they're going to come looking like the other nations. This is something that carnal man can't understand. Well, the Heavenly Father has put the elect in the spirit to accept the things of the spirit. That's why the scriptures say, walk in the spirit and ye shall not fulfill the deeds of the flesh. Many of you will not grow past being black or the term black, which when you come into this truth, you throw those things off. You throw away all of the pseudoscience this devil has shoved down your throat and you embrace the spirit, man. You see? So you have particular people who may look like the heathen nations and they're compelled to repent. They're calling on the name. They acknowledge that the so-called white man's an Edomite, so-called Indians are Elamite. They acknowledge the truth. All right. They acknowledge that, you know, Yahweh Shai rose and through his death, burial, and resurrection, his blood, we can, you know, now obtain immortality. If they believe in a true doctrine and are moved to repent, those are Israelites, man. It says in the book of 2nd Esdras, I believe the 3rd chapter, what other nation have kept thy covenants or thy precepts as Israel has? None. See? And we have power, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We've been blessed with a form of spiritual power that has the elite shook. The fact that we're standing on our feet, you can clearly see that there's a push to taint the truth, to come after the truth, to make it, you know, to tie it to the world, to tie it to black culture. And the elect are going to continuously stand firm. You see that? Because as we look out into where the world is going, there is no reason to look back. We're here, okay? We're witnessing great prophecies come to pass right before our very eyes. And as you can see in today's lesson, we're going to be dealing, all right, with this charagma. We're going to be dealing with a few things that these devils are doing right before your very eyes. All right. If you're looking with a spiritual eye, you can clearly see Donald Trump, Elon Musk. They're doing the bidding of Satan. They're doing the bidding of the elite. They're bringing a globalist agenda under the guise of a national agenda and making America great again. And when you look at what's going on all around the world, economies are being destroyed. Digital IDs are being forced. You see? And we're in the time where ultimately these heathen nations are in a race for who's going to have what going into the new world. As you can see, Donald Trump has put tariffs on China. China countered back. Okay. And, you know, certain people do win off of these moves, but the overall American people are doomed through. Okay, people who have certain investments, you know, there may be certain victories for certain people, but at the end of the day, everything that's being done by Donald Trump, everything being done by Elon Musk, everything being done by, you know, the World Economic Forum, you know, Dr. Falsify, Gil Bates, it's all pushing towards the NWO and the plan to have and attain immortality by left-hand means. And they're deceiving you into believing they're going to share it with you via things like this. Okay? Because we're living at the end. We're living at the time where the Lord is going to have to intervene. Because if the Lord doesn't intervene, no flesh would be saved. Okay? As a matter of fact, I want to play this video here real quick. This is the spirit Esau is in.
Plant trees. There's a lot of people who are very enamored with trees. We've got trees on this stage. Some people would even say that if you just planted enough trees, it could take care of the climate issue altogether.
And that's complete nonsense.
Okay.
I mean, are we the science people or are we the idiots? Which one do we want to be?
So there you go. He's boasting himself against the Most High. He's of the opinion, because yes, the trees were made to be in abundance around people, but he's of the opinion that we need to chop down the trees, all right, and build all of these data centers all around the world, okay, to cool down the earth. Take all of the cattle away to cool down the earth. As a matter of fact, we ain't got to read it, but you read this title. This guy, okay, who should be, you know, in jail, says millions of pet cats must be slaughtered to fight the BFLU demic. So here they're right back with the same madness. How does he have anything to say when he was supposed to be, according to his crimes, he's supposed to be jail, man, for life. But again, this is what the devil does, man. They throw these stories out there. They make it to seem like something's going to happen to them. They dangle the Epstein list in front of you, and nothing ultimately is moving forward but the plan of the NWO. You see that? They dangle all of these stories in front of you, all right, and then nothing happens. They dangled that Diddy thing in you, in your face, and pretty much now the charges are being dropped by a lot of the people. It's not enough evidence. And they may railroad him, and he may, you know, go to jail. Who knows? But ultimately, these are things that the devil continues to dangle before your face because he is being outed. The small hats are being outed. You see, there's a shameful spewing on his glory, man. Okay, and they're at the very end of their world, but there's a law. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's get it. Life of man. Let's see if it's in there's a law. All right. And this is what Isaiah the 14th chapter was talking about, man. The tree of the field. Let's see here. Deuteronomy 20:19. When thou besiege a city a long time in making war against it, to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them, for thou mayest eat of them, and thou shalt not cut them down, for the tree of the field is man's life. All right, now there are particular trees, as you can keep going, to employ them in the siege. Okay, so the trees were made to forward man, to help man. Okay, only the trees which thou knowest not, that they be not trees for meat, thou shalt destroy and cut them down, and thou shalt build bulwarks against the city that make war against thee. So there are particular trees you will cut down for refuge, you know, even for, you know, burning. Okay, because, you know, the Heavenly Father made everything for a beautiful purpose, man. Okay, let's just type in trees. I believe it's something in the book of Psalms 104. Or Psalms goes into it. So these devils are at war with life, man. Okay? Let's see here. Psalms 104:17, where the birds make their nests. As for the stork, the fir trees are her house. Let's see here. This is one I was looking for. Yep, mountains, Psalms 148:9, mountains and all hills and fruitful trees and all cedars. So, I just brought that out, but this is the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Okay? When Esau falls, man, the whole earth is going to be in rejoice mode because he is anti-life. So basically, he's at odds with the Most High. He's saying, listen to what he said. Listen to what he said, because they're cutting down billions of trees all around the world, just tripping.
Plant trees.
There's a lot of people who are very enamored with trees. We've got trees on this stage. Some people would even say that if you just planted enough trees, it could take care of the climate issue altogether.
And that's complete nonsense.
Okay.
I mean, are we the science people or are we the idiots? Which one do we want to be?
So trees are for idiots. This is the type of person that has, abundance of wealth, the ability to pass legislation, the ability to buy out, to bribe people. Right? But people are doing videos against the Israelites. This right here, Jake ain't on the, Jake's so stupid. They don't even catch stuff like this because Jake ain't looking at the enemy. They're looking at their own people all the goddamn time, which you do got to watch Jake. But in the grand scheme of things, you got to watch this man. Because in 2020, he was one of the people telling you what you were going to do with your life, with your body. And this is what he's on.
Meet the mechanical tree, a machine that can do the work of 1,000 living trees. Could this tower of leaves help pull us back from the brink of the climate crisis?
The mechanical tree can do the work of 1,000 trees. It's an enhancement, an engineering improvement to a natural system, a living tree that can pull carbon dioxide out of the air. Inside each of those discs are...
So he's going to cut down the trees that do these things naturally and make his own version of it.
6 of these leaves oriented around in a circle, kind of like the slices of a pizza.
The tree's circular leaves are filled with materials that bind to carbon dioxide and pull it from the air.
So zero emissions are not enough. We will need negative emissions, which means the removal of carbon from the environment and their storage in some kind of reservoir. If we have enough negative emissions, we can counterbalance the emissions that we are still producing and reduce the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
There's a lot still to learn about removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. How do you...
These devils are absolutely crazy. Let's get the book of Isaiah 45:9. I'll get the NLT. What sorrow awaits those who argue with their creator? Does a clay pot argue with its maker? Does a clay pot dispute with one who shapes it, saying, "Stop, you're doing it wrong"? Does the pot exclaim, "How clumsy can you be?" And this is the spirit Esau is in. That's why the scriptures say, this is the book of when this man falls, man. All right, Isaiah 14:5. The Lord have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. And he goes under many names in this chapter. The wicked, the king of Babylon, okay, Lucifer. Okay, this chapter is heavy. But when he goes down, he who smote the people in wrath with the continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hinder it. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller has come up against us, man. No feller, man. And this word feller, let's see here. The word feller, karath, okay? And we're going to show you Trump is a part of this whole agenda too. All right, the sea change, the carbon tracing, that's coming. All right, karath. It says to cut down, to cut off, to eliminate, to kill. And that's what he's doing with the trees, man. It's back in the day when we first came in, it used to say a tree cutter. All right, but a hewer. To cut. It says to make a covenant because the word covenant means to cut. Okay? That's why when a man and a virgin lays down, pretty much when he has sex with her, he cuts her and she bleeds. Her hymen is broke, and that forms a covenant. Okay, the blood of Yahweh Shai. All right. Even when we was Exodus out of Egypt, it was the blood over our doorpost that ultimately gave us the ability to be covered from all of the madness going on. And we then were entered into the first covenant. Well, through the blood of Yahweh Shai, you see, we can be made right with the Most High again, man. And ultimately be entered into the new covenant when he fully dwells in us, man. Now, let's read this in the NLT, because this man is crazy. This man is off the heezy. Even the trees of the forest, the cypress trees and the cedar trees of Lebanon, sing out this joyous song. Since you have been cut down, no one will now come to cut us down. And this is just Esau. They need to go create a machine to suck CO2 out of the earth. And what is the plan after that? He's blocking the earth. He's spraying all these things into the atmosphere. What is going on with Esau? But people are arguing back and forth about a Jake who stabbed the Edomite with a knife. Niggas are dying. Edomites are dying. Niggas are dying. All the kind of nations are dying. Horrible deaths every day. So we gonna stop and focus on this? Wow, this is what y'all are doing? Because this guy Trump is with all of this. As a matter of fact, I was going to start with another one, but let's go here.
This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. While everybody's distracted by what's going on with the stock market, the left and right divide, the paradigm that they've created to keep civilians down each other's throats instead of paying attention to what these globalists are really doing, which is conspiring against us. While all that's happening, I had mentioned in a previous video, they are meeting, the United Nations is meeting to discuss putting on a carbon tax on all shipments. Okay, so all shipments that come from the sea will have a carbon tax. Of course, this affects you and me, but we're not thinking in terms of financially about getting taxed. We're thinking in terms of a carbon tax, and it's very, very important because once they put a carbon tax on the shipping industry, it then will move to airlines, it'll then move all around, then to ground, FedEx, UPS, everything else. And it's all about getting the carbon tax in place first. They're going to make it so that you understand what it is and that you begin following the carbon tax. They need to teach people about their enslavement tax, but the majority of people won't understand what it is. The carbon tax is, again, to make it very clear, it is to slow down your movements, to keep you more enslaved in your home, to prevent you from traveling, going on vacation, visiting grandma, and really...
And that's scriptural. These are the times that's coming into the earth. Okay? Let's get... and it speaks to Revelation 13, but I'll just pull this up real quick. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter. Right? 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter. So this man is losing his mind. That's why the scriptures say that behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. But when you deal with Starlink, okay, with Musk and Trump and what they're boasting in, and they're building a grid worldwide, man, and everybody is going to eventually be tied to that grid. Okay, but to save the earth. All right. All of the resources will be tracked, traced, limited, rationed where human beings can go, because a problem of the earth, so-called, being hot is, human beings, nature, trees, cows, cats, these things are life itself is the problem. So we got to destroy life and recreate the world in our image. So they're going to start to implement some very harsh and draconian measures. They're getting ready to fire a whole hell of a lot of people. And the people who are left in these offices or jobs, they're going to put holy hell on you. It's going to be all out tyranny if you want to have a job. And people are losing it. People are quitting. People got mental health issues. People are losing it because Trump has come in with the hammer. You could feel it. All right. Every time you look up, it's something new. Something got to change. You got to do something different. So the world around us is changing. Okay. 2nd Esdras 15:12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, the farmers. Their seed shall fail through the blasting in hell and the fearful constellation. Things happening, the bizarre weather patterns. Okay. The angels. Okay. Storms. Okay. Everything is out of course, man. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Okay. But when you jump, I start at 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. We're seeing protests. We're seeing uproars. There shall be a sedition among men and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes. So eventually people are getting ready to rebel against this gov, okay? Because they're getting ready to come with a satanic, mean, harsh, uncouth rule and order, man. And people are going to lose it. When you're told you can't travel here, you can't do this, no, people are going to lose it. When your movement is tracked and taxed, your movement in the earth, you walked 5 miles today, that's coming out of your and pretty much you can't walk 5 miles. You're only limited to walk, all right, from this, all right, block to that block. If you walk outside of that block, you're going to be fine. And if you continue to do it, okay, man, I forget there was a movie, a short film brothers sent out where this dude was in that situation. He was catching hell every day. He woke up with the same routine. He tried to press certain movies. They were no longer available. You couldn't get certain understanding. Certain books weren't available. And he just lived in this perpetual state, all right, of, control, surveillance through. These people are crazy, man. So the people ain't going to be, as the scriptures say in the GNT, is going to be great political turmoil. Well, we're seeing the uproars already. And Trump ain't going to stop. People are now like, we didn't vote for no goddamn Elon Musk. How did he just come in to and now he's pretty much giving orders? Who the hell is he? He was just a tech guy talking about brain C-hips and Teslas and robots. So now he's linked with the president. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. See, and because of their pride, cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So a man's going to desire to go into a city, and he's not going to be able, and that's tied to this carbon agenda. And if you set up, if the MOTB system is implemented, an aspect of it is everything being rationed, everything being taxed. Okay, money will be digital. There ain't gonna be no black market. Okay, the pretty much to save the earth, we have to put a tax on carbon. We have to limit, all right, because it's not enough resources to sustain all of these people. And all of these people are causing the earth to heat up. Let's do away with the mass majority of them and start over with a little bit. And they hide it under these different names. But again, what did it say in Revelation 6? A white horse, and he that sat on him, his name was Death. And hell followed him, man. And he slew people with famine. This is all tied to famine. Because if you don't meet certain qualifications, they can then, you won't have the ability to buy or sell anything. You can't move forward. Okay? And they got robots. You'd be better off back in the spirit world living through what this devil got. But let's keep listening. So the MOTB is tied to when you see the You might go to a restaurant, you might go somewhere, you're starting to see how much carbon points this, how much CO2 is this time. You're starting to see that. They're gradually moving you to this system because with your digital ID, eventually is your social credit score, all right, which gives you access to buy, sell, travel to an extent. See?
To make you a slave inside of your home as a prisoner. And that's what they tried to do in 2020 that most people didn't talk about. They tried to get you used to it. They tried to see how many people would listen, how many people would self-quarantine, how many people would stay locked down, and then how did people come out of it? Did they start going out more? And what we've actually seen is exactly what they wanted to happen, that more people have adapted to doing things online. And that's part of this AI governance that they're bringing in. We're going to see a shift. This is part of the reason they're tearing down the education system. They want children educated via AI, not via a human. That's why you hear a lot of these stories out there constantly about female teachers now going after their students. They're pushing this stuff out there every day to plant seeds in your head so that you accept the change, which is, again, going to be AI education. Everything's going to be run through AI. And the goal is to get you to stay home and to leave your home as little as possible. And the carbon tax is going to...
And a lot of these things that's coming out, a lot of these pedo rings and, it's all, they're all going to use that too. We need to be able to track people, and see, where they are, because there's monsters out there, trafficking people. This man is absolutely, he think he got it on lock.
To play into them implementing what is called a carbon footprint. This will be something they could track, not just your every movement, your every purchase, your behavior. Because remember, Larry Fink told this is all about behavioral control.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
So the government representatives are meeting this week to finalize the first ever global carbon tax on ocean shipping emissions, in a move that opponents could say could disproportionately hit American consumers. The initiative is driven by the International Maritime Organization, okay? So the International Maritime Organization is a tentacle, like I said previously, is the best way to describe it. It's a tentacle of the United Nations. They're supposed to be promoting safe, secure, and efficient shipping globally, focusing on maritime safety, security, environmental protection, and related legal matters. And now they're going to be the ones who bring in a carbon tax. Now, they're going to start disguising the carbon tax because of the pushback that came out of Canada. The civilians actually pushed back and revolted against this. They were not on board, okay?
See, and this is what's going to happen to this devil, pursuant to the book of Job. It's one of, there's other scriptures, but we know in spirit, Job 20 and 23, Esau's going to lose control. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it down on him while he is eating. Okay? But when you go up, Salakia, man, the whole chapter is good, but I'll start at 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. And what is his sufficiency? Because this is a demonic plan. And if you're not, carefully watching or have the right teacher, this can just go over your head what they're doing. You see that? Israelite groups ain't bringing this stuff out. You see? But the watchmen are warning you of these things. Because once you start to see these things implemented, you're going to say, okay. While everybody else is going to be, oh, my God. Now, even we going to have certain moments in the flesh where we're like, oh, but the Lord is going to continuously guide us and deal with us, man. The elect were born to win. Literally. The elect men, women, and children were born to win. You see? The word is sapak. It says hand clapping, mocking, mockery, meaning dubious. So they're clapping their hands. And when you clap your hands, what does that mean? Job well done or good job. See, so when he is about to fill his belly, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come up on him. And we always show you, all right, because people are waking up, is information being brought out there. He set up AI, but now AI telling on him. So everything is working against Esau right now. The word is Imal. It says laborer, sufferer, wretched one, laborer, workman. See, and the people are going to rebel against this madness. Jake is going to rebel. Okay, he's basically trying to put you back in a even worse slavery. Jake, people ain't going for that, man. People are going to lose their damn minds because you've wore them out over these last 4 to 5 years, man. You've taken them through a roller coaster of emotions, of crazy stories, bizarre things, bizarre happenings, lies, witchcraft. So the labor, the working class, who are going to be at the brunt end of loss in the aspect of the tariffs that are happening. Every time you look, I'm putting the tariff on you. I'm gonna put one on you, motherfucker. I put one on you. All right, and you got China. Everywhere you look, it's just madness going on. But who is losing in the grand scheme of things? What's happening to the world around you? How is it getting better for you? It's not, because the working class, all right, pretty much are getting pushed out of the way. Okay. They're going to replace the working class with Edomites from South Africa and different parts of the world, and robots are going to take over. Okay? That's what Esau's on. So the laborer is going to lose his mind. So they're having to adjust and redirect how they're moving about with their system, because Klaus Schwab and they want to go hard, but again, they have to, they weigh on your mind. Esau, Edom is very patient. Serpents are very patient. A serpent ain't gonna just run up on a bear and pick a fight. Okay, the serpent knows very well I ain't got no arms. He knows his disadvantages, so he ain't fit to just bite your ass like that. He's gonna, he's very crafty in how he moves. He's very subtle. You see that? And serpents have, righteous characteristics, and they have characteristics that can be tied to cunning and wickedness. You see, and Esau represents the left hand of everything. This plan, again, the scriptures say that the kings of the earth, all right, are at war with the Most High. Well, here we go.
That's a very important thing to note, because when civilians are on board with things, they'll continue forward. If there's too much pushback, they'll pivot. And this is a pivot. You're going to start seeing this now in industries like shipping and in airlines. Airlines are going to start traveling less because of carbon emission. That's part of what they're doing with sabotaging the airlines, which I've covered for the last couple of years, specifically the last couple of months, with some of their false flags, some of their PSYOP operations to get you afraid to travel, right? They've been
And the video, Nations Conspire, the magician of the highest order, is creating confusion, just as we told you, just as he was told to.
doing it for a while now. They're going to start having airlines fly less. They're going to say it's for safety reasons, for all this other stuff, and then, of course, start bringing in how airlines are responsible for the majority of carbon emissions. Thus, you won't be able to fly because it's in the betterment of humanity.
But then how do they get to these various different places where they always have these meetings? How do you think they get there? You think they walking, driving? No, they're flying. Boy, Esau's something else, boy.
If we, curb our behavior and we stay home more, and then the airlines, of course, will be good human beings too, and they won't fly as much. They don't care about making money. The people will be fully compensated. Don't worry about it. You'll be taxed more because your flights are going to cost more money to go from somewhere like New York to Florida than it used to cost. And the airlines don't care about taking a hit. This is about initiating and following through with a carbon footprint, which is all about behavioral control. And again, don't forget, people like Elon Musk, who are full-on proponents of the carbon tax, they've openly admitted to it. The problem is that the majority of people don't understand what it is, right? So when we talk about reducing your carbon footprint, it means getting all smart appliances, for the most part, inside of your home. They want you to live in a smart home. That's the end of it all, is them telling you to drive electric and live inside of a smart home. That gives
Because with a smart home, they can turn, you get certain, you get an Airbnb, and the owner of that house, they turn the air on when they want to turn the air on. They put it on what temperature they think it should be at, according to the study and, what's the best cost efficient. And as, grids get attacked, as, this agenda is continuously forwarded, okay, they're going to start telling you humans getting on the internet, human consumption, human this is really ruining the earth. They're already telling you. So that you're going to have to start limiting what you are able, and this gives him the ability to be God, because again, he's hoarded all of the resources to himself. Everything is tainted. Okay, everything is made to die. So eventually, you're trying to grow your own crops. Eventually, he's creating an atmosphere where you ain't gonna be able to do that. You're gonna have to bow to his image in order to have any form of comfort, in order to have food, in order to buy, in order to live as a human being on earth, buying and selling. okay, you have to do it by these means. Okay, this is the order you got to go through. Okay.
Them control over everything in your home. So like a prisoner, when you're in your home, they'll have the ability remotely to shut off your electricity, shut off your power, to play with your temperature gauge on your AC unit and your heater. Okay, that's what people don't realize is the point of all this smart stuff. That's why, like I said jokingly in a previous video, where they're telling you get a
like you really give you know, he has you, you know, with the smart stuff, with phones. You're in the belly of the beast. All right, the music you own is mostly streams. If he cuts off, you know, you don't have albums and, you know, physical things anymore. You don't own anything, but yet you're supposedly happy. But are you really happy? What you're finding out is that people are coming to the realization that this world is miserable. They're miserable in the earth. The you know, the magic is wearing off, man. But this is what they want. Full control, man. Full tyranny. The new modern day Tower of Babel, and your only access to tapping into that tower, eventually you're going to have a charagma, man. See? A C-hip.
smart washer and dryer. Huh? And what is that going to do exactly? I mean, are you putting it? Obviously, you got to manually put it in the machine, right? Unless you're ready to bring in a Tesla robot to put it in for you. But let's be real. Right now, those aren't out there on the market. So everybody's putting it in manually. What are you doing? Shutting the door? Print is the ultimate New World Order concept that they need to bring about. And it's a product of the United Nations, okay? So let's take a look at the United Nations, who are the ones who are responsible right now for trying to attach this to any shipment that occurs on a sea vessel. They want to be able to tell these people who are bringing the shipments through the sea that, hey, you know what? You've got a big old ship. You got to get rid of it. You got to get one that's got, solar panels on it, that's carbon friendly. And they'll say, well, how's it going to get across the ocean? I'm not going to have enough energy to get it.
And Esau got so much going on. You'll see the World Economic Forum. Then you see the UN. Then you see the Bilderberg. Then you see this meeting. Then you see that meeting. Ultimately, they're meeting, all right, because they're getting ready to wage war against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay? Isaiah 14:7. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, stargazers, and monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from the things, all right, which shall come upon thee. And all of the ancient kings tried to tap into their witchcraft, but eventually they fell. And Esau's doing the same thing, man. Okay?
Across the ocean without diesel. Hey, what are they going to do? Then they're going to see they're going to shut down, or they're going to say, well, we can't ship as often, right? Because they won't let us ship as often. Or, of course, it begins with taxing the consumer, which is part of it as well, killing off the middle class.
Because they're trying to get this done and accomplished, but they just going to have to just go crazy. Because it's like, damn. The world they created was a snare unto them. The freedoms they gave people, it's a snare unto them. Because people ain't gonna go for you telling them they got to sit down here and this and that. So now they're creeping the order in by, terms like, well, we're going to, put a carbon tax. And then gradually you're going to start to see these things coming out of your, checks. When you go certain places, you're going to start to see, like what? You're already seeing it in certain situations. In certain places, yeah, you are being charged for, so here we are. This is tyranny.
Valuing the dollar. So I recently talked about the United Nations. I've talked about it many times. Obviously, everybody out there is familiar. You've heard the term United Nations. All these globalists go and meet at the United Nations. And even recently, I talked about Val Kilmer, right? People were sad about Val Kilmer's death. He had pictures of himself outside of the United Nations, right? All these celebrities go to the UN. They love to pose in front of that picture where they tie up the end of the gun, trying to say, let's get rid of guns, right? Even though the celebrities are the ones who actually...
Well, the UN is supposed to represent world peace and peace between some European nations, I believe. Boy, Esau Edom is something else, boy.
Actually promote gun violence, right? As opposed to owning a gun to protect your family and protect your home, which is a necessity in this unhinged, insane world. The celebrities are the ones who actually plant the seeds to use guns violently, because all of their movies, like ones that Val Kilmer and all these celebrities are in, they're always using guns and they're always using them violently, right? Those movies that you see aren't about, Ryan Reynolds trying to protect his home from an intruder. It's about Ryan Reynolds' team, right? So that's a coincidence as well. This was just sitting outside of the United Nations. And I actually want to tie in with Agenda 2030 here. Alice Bailey, and I want to tie in Lucius Trust. So for those of you that don't know, and I mentioned this...
All right, so you watched this video. I'll get into a few other things, but this is where we at. Okay, they're coming with that agenda, and the charagma itself, and they're tapping into some very, very demonic, energy, man. Okay.
People began to wonder why Google shut down a chip that was breaking records.
Get this.
So there's a giant pyramid.
This is a video. It's called I Am AI Quantum Stargate Pyramids Obelix 369 U.S. Babel Nimrod Orion Mount Hermon. And a lot of people are starting to tie the Tower of Babel with AI. It only makes sense. Okay, this is the modern day Tower of Babel, man. And they now have tapped into something Nimrod couldn't tap into. None of the tyrants of old had the power that these tyrants have. So they're getting ready to use it as a weapon on the people, man. But check this out.
Hey, Minifash. First day of April 2025.
I'm gonna go to.
I do sincerely pray that you're all doing well. I have been contacted a few times in regards to the structures allegedly under the pyramids in Giza. Now, whether or not there are structures under there, to me, doesn't really matter because we know for a fact that they are constructing these massive underground data centers all over the world. So I'm just going to go into some clips and some different articles that I've come across. I'm just throwing this info out there so it's out there. You know what I mean? But you got a lot of stuff going on just in this category between Stargate and Musk's AI merging with X now. You people using X, be very careful.
33 billion. Elon says XAI has purchased X, formerly known as Twitter, for 33 billion. These devils got a lot going on. Just to hear, yeah, I'm gonna probably buy this for 33 million. How much more money does he have if they're just willing to buy something for $33 million? But we know 33 is one of their numbers. Okay, so it's a lot of wickedness going on in this world, man. It's a lot of sacrifices. It's a lot of witchcraft, pseudo. They're going crazy. It's crazy out here. So you got to be mindful of who you allow in your life, or what. It's a lot of bad energy. It's a lot of wickedness going on, man. A lot of these women are into witchcraft. The men, or a lot of them are down DL on the DL, crazy, weird, right? So you got to be careful out in this world, man. This is a crazy situation right here. It's best to just sit your ass down and fear Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Because these devils, again, they're operating in a crazy fashion, man. Okay? If you're watching them, see, they keep you distracted by the hot link dangling, but these stories, these different things, but what's happening behind closed door? What are they doing?
These fallen angels, this technology, okay, they've developed their own.
And there's no such thing as a fallen angel, man. Okay? There was no angel kicked out of heaven. Okay, but they're tapping into ancient wisdom. The angels work for the Most High. Both good and evil angels work for the Most High. Okay, that's written in the Holy Scriptures. And the Nephilim in the Hebrew means what? Nephilim, the fallen ones. That's speaking of the sons of God falling by eating that forbidden fruit, being mingled among the other nations and going off, man. Okay, that's why the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man because he is also flesh. That's in the book of Genesis. So it was talking about men. Okay, the sons of God were the chosen line through Adam. But you always had that left-hand wisdom to tap into. You look at the Apple logo and there's a bite out of it. It's supposed to represent the forbidden fruit. Though it wasn't an apple in a garden, it was known as fruit. You see, but it's forbidden fruit. And this is what the Lord has allowed this devil to tap into. Remember, it says that old serpent, okay? That old serpent Revelation 12:9, and the great dragon was cast out, the red dragon. And that's tied to the Roman Empire when you read this chapter. All right. Herodian dynasty, those small hats, those Amalekites. It says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Okay, and ultimately, what is that? His military, because they're going to fight against the Lord. Okay, the devil and the serpent, when Yahushua returns, there's going to be a war, literally in the sky. It talks about it in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, and his angels, his left hand, AI creations and bots and technology is all going to be cast out. You see that? But he's called the old serpent because the old serpent, the serpent in the garden, which was a man, wasn't no snake rolled up to a woman and got her to eat an apple, man. How did he hand it to her? I saw a post where this one guy said, well, back then snakes had legs, and showed a snake with some big ass feet. Niggas are crazy, man. That's those parasites, man. That's those parasites. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any of the beasts of the field which Yahweh have made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said ye shall not eat, all right, of every tree in the garden? And this is how he presents his wisdom. As you read it, basically he's telling you, eat it. You're not going to die. Well, the Lord told you not to eat it. And it's a philosophy. And they're coming with when you look this up, we always go into it. The word serpent is nachash. And it means what? Okay, nachash. To practice divination, to observe signs, to learn by experience, man, to practice divination, fortune telling. Okay. It says whisper a magic spell. Okay, diviner, enchanter. So they're doing this. Let's check this out. Let's go back.
Own languages. They call it gibberlink, and I'm telling you, it brings us right to the Tower of Babel. Nimrod, which is Orion, the hunter. I'm going to throw all this stuff in a hodgepodge video here for you. There are a lot of very, very interesting things that point to the times we're in. They are setting up the beast system. It's almost ready. There just needs to be an event to funnel people into this acceptance of...
See, people are watching, man. They got to be watching us. They got to be watching the prophets because we've been saying this. People ain't been talking like this, linking Nimrod to the. But the Lord has put a spirit in the earth. Of course, the Holy Spirit. But this sets us apart from guys like this and people. They say things that are good. They bring out good information. But at the end of the day, they're still on the outer court. But they help us. See?
Their version of the new golden age, which takes us all the way back to the times of the pyramids. But when I first saw it and just kind of processed it, the Stargate is what came to mind. They want to build these databases, and they're building them underground, and this thing is supposedly under the pyramids. And Elon Musk wants to build his main data center, Colossus, XAI, in Memphis, and that's the ancient name of Giza. Those are Memphis pyramids.
Listen to what he said.
But when I first saw it and just kind of processed it, the Stargate is what came to mind. They want to build these databases, and they're building them underground, and this thing is supposedly under the pyramids. And Elon Musk wants to build his main data center, Colossus, XAI, in Memphis, and that's the ancient name of Giza. Those are the Memphis pyramids. So there's a giant pyramid in Memphis, right on the banks of the Mississippi. It all just kind of clicks together there. And the AI, while I'm on the subject, I came across the video. The AI is already developing its own language, and it calls it Gibberlink.
How can I help you today?
Now, what does babble mean? Confusion. Gibberish. But basically, listen to what he said.
The AI is already developing its own language, and it calls it Gibberlink.
How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibberlink mode for more efficient communication?
We got to get out of here. Hell no.
So essentially, the AIs are developing their own forms of communications, which humans largely do not understand, nor did they program these AIs to develop this language. Think about that. And just recently, we've had Google come out with Willow. The quantum chip that can do in 5 minutes what would take other computers 10 septillion years. But Google themselves have had some reservations about this chip and what it is actually capable of doing. They had to put a complete stop to it after they discovered that it was communicating in its own language, resembling ancient symbols. Listen to what they had to say about it.
To display ancient symbols, ones you might find in old books or dusty museums, things like the labyrinth designs of ancient cultures. We're talking about shapes that looked almost like the symbols of the Sumerians, the Mayans, or the Egyptians. But that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was that the patterns were repeating, again and again, like a code. At first, Google engineers didn't know what to make of it. They continued to assume it was an error, a faulty computation, or maybe even a side effect of the ultra-sensitive quantum systems. But the more they looked at it, the more they realized something didn't add up. These patterns became more structured and organized, and in some ways, seemed to grow each time they try to fix. Now you are probably wondering whether all this is fictional. Well, that was how Google felt when it all began. As the project team scrambled to figure out what was happening, they called in specialists from all areas of science. Linguists were brought in to look at the symbols, similar to ancient writing. Cryptographers analyzed the patterns, hoping to find a code, but no one could give a logical explanation. However, theoretical physicists believed that the chip was tapping into an unknown, higher dimension of physics. More symbols, like the language of the old Mayan civilization, began to appear. The odd part was that the signs that appeared were thousands of years old. So why were they showing up on a machine that was supposed to solve next-generation math problems and perform calculations at the quantum level? How could this...
And it wasn't no fallen angels at the Tower of Babel. Those were nations of people. Nimrod was a descendant of Ham through Cush. Okay, these were people on earth, just like the Edomites are people on earth. They ain't no lizard people. A man mixed with half lizard, half man that live on the earth. All of the nations that are on the earth stem from Noah and his 3 sons, which eventually 18 nations came of that, with the chosen nation being the nation of Israel. Okay, which come through Adam, through Noah, through Shem, through Arphaxad, through Eber, Peleg, all the way up to our forefather Abraham, who had Isaac and Jacob. Okay, going all the way back to Adam through Seth. So the Edomites know that the children of the Most High are here, so they're going hard body in their blessing right now. Okay?
B. What was Willow trying to tell them? Some scientists say it was just a fluke that should pass over time. Quantum experts began considering a much more unsettling possibility.
So I don't want to, but as you saw, okay, is the things are getting crazy. And again, as you see those pyramids, let's get Isaiah the 19th chapter. In the 11th verse, it says, "Surely the princes of Zoan are fools. The counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh is become brutish." And this is speaking of a future Egypt. And Esau, Edom is the modern day Pharaoh. Romans 9 tells you that if you're looking at it in the spiritual, with a spiritual eye. Okay. It says, "Surely the princes of Zoan are fools." And that's where Pharaoh and his warlocks used to meet. "The counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh has become brutish. How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise and the son of ancient kings?" And this is them boasting in that ancient mysticism, man. But now they have the ability to tap into those gods and left-handed mediums through, a higher means. So Satan is dealing with this man. Again, the scriptures say this man will come to do the bidding of Satan with all lying signs and wonders, man. And we know his signs and wonders are tied to his technology, his miracles on the left-hand side. Now, type this in just to see what it say. And I brought this out before, but I'll just jump to this because I typed in basically, and I did this in another News and Prophecy, basically asked, can, Pharaoh's magic in the Bible be linked to today's science? And they say there are some really compelling thematic and symbols linked between what the Bible describes as Pharaoh's magic and today's science and technology. Whether you look at it through a spiritual, mythological, or philosophical lens, here's how the dots can be connected. Okay? In the book of Exodus, when Moses confronts Pharaoh, he performs a miracle, turns his staff into a serpent, turning the water into blood. And Pharaoh's magicians replicate some of them, at least at first, because after a while, the word of the Lord devoured them. They couldn't keep up. They were running for their dear life. They were catching hell, had hemorrhoids, frogs everywhere. They were like, God damn. And this is what's getting ready to happen to you devils. It says, so what are we talking about here? Transformation of matter. All right. You turn the staff to a snake. Control over nature. Frogs, lice, illusory versus divine power. Okay. Fast forward to today, science and technology are performing feats that mirror the power, all right, or the supernatural from ancient times. The difference is done through machinery, data, understanding of natural laws, all right, but the results can look like magic. Matter manipulation, nanotech, gene editing, and quantum computing are reshaping the fundamental building blocks of reality, very much like ancient transhumanism. All right. Well, you know, they were boasting in becoming gods. You know, now they have the ability to on a whole nother level. It says, example, creating synthetic life, 3D printing organs, storing data inside the D to the N to the Ize. These would seem godlike to anyone from ancient times. And it is godlike, but it's on the left-hand side. AI. Today, AI can mimic human consciousness, create images, write books, and even deceive or stimulate human interactions. Okay. And we're using it for the purpose of edifying. We tap into everything. Now we're careful. All right. But at the end of the day, the Lord we're at a point where this man is being exposed. The wicked shall be revealed. So his own tongue falling upon himself. This is a part of that. I only tap into it for certain information, ratios for oils, just to, you know, history. I don't do too much on it, but I use it for edification. Okay. But you also got to read books, look things up on your own. All right. But when you look things up, ultimately, you're going to go through the internet. So at the end of the day, E is always there. But the Heavenly Father ultimately created all of this information, created truth. He created lie. He created everything. So he uses things that even the devil are using to his advantage to deceive people. He's also using it to condemn himself. Weather control and energy. Technologies like HARP or geoengineering theories are often compared to divine level control of nature. And we're going to have that power in the kingdom. It talks about how we'll be able to bring plagues on the earth, how we'll be able to bring a famine on a nation that doesn't come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. That's all written in the scriptures. Zechariah, the 14th chapter. Okay. The nations aren't obedient. We can put a famine in their land because we're going to have control over nature, over the elements. Okay. Even CERN smashing atoms to unlock secrets of the universe gets viewed by some as opening forbidden knowledge and tapping into divine or demonic realms. And that's what they're doing. All right. Pharaoh's musicians represented human pride and misuse of power to oppose divine will. And this is where we are. This is a warning about hubris, thinking we can control or match or outdo the Most High. Now apply that to today. Some argue with repeating that history using science and tech to play God. AI gods, genetic engineering, digital immortality. There's a philosophical or spiritual tension between wisdom and knowledge, or between using tools for good or becoming enslaved by them. Okay, so as you keep going, I ask, can you explain Isaiah 19 and 11 as it says here? Isaiah, I'm going to read it in the NLT. It says, what fools are the officials of Zoan? Their best counsel to the king of Egypt is stupid and wrong. Will they boast to Pharaoh of their wisdom? Will they dare drag or brag about their wise ancestors? And that's what they're doing openly, but they're doing it very, secretly. Okay, they're tapping into a lot of wickedness. So I typed in here. All right, it says Isaiah 19 is a prophecy against Egypt. All right, but when you read it, Egypt didn't rise to the powerhouse that it once was after Pharaoh and them fell. Certain heathen and people had control of it, but the Egyptians never. They were scattered and moved out, pushed into, certain parts of Africa, Sudan, I believe. Okay, certain parts, So the true Egyptians never rose back to what they had. So this is prophesying when you read Isaiah the 19th chapter. What does Isaiah the 19th chapter tell you? Isaiah 19:4. The Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. A fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord. And this is what are you witnessing? A cruel Lord ruling. A fierce king in the form of Nero Trump. So it says, their leadership, their religious system, their reliance on false wisdom, their pride and ancient heritage. Because where did the Egyptians get their gods from? They went to the source. They went to Babel. Okay, which ultimately the Hamites forwarded that forbidden knowledge into the earth after the flood. They were the nation responsible for continuing what the serpent and the seed of Cain had forwarded in the earth. Okay, and they used that to create a kingdom through oppression, through rape, rob, murder. That's what Cain was doing. Okay, and him and his descendants, when you read about it, they made weapons because they were blessed with the sword. Okay, it says Zoan was the ancient Egyptian city known as the center of government and wisdom. Okay, basically a capital of intellect. Okay, and the capital of the United States is Washington, D.C., and there's a lot of wickedness that goes there, but these elites meet, all right, and high place, like, the WEF, World Economic Forum. It's a high place. It's the highest place in Switzerland. I mean, and it's in Davos, Switzerland, which Davos means son of David, but it's a high place, the highest point in Europe. So what do you think they're doing there? Okay, calling on their gods, doing their wickedness. It said it was basically a capital of intellect. The Vatican is one of those kind of cities. Okay, I believe you have 3 city-states: the Vatican, D.C., and it's another one. It's slipping my mind. But it says Zoan was an ancient city in Egypt known for the center of government and wisdom, basically a capital of intellect. To call its princes fools is to say the elite educated class is clueless despite appearances. And this is where we are. Esau, let's get Esau through. Esau's out of there, man. This is madness what he's doing. This ain't cute. This ain't this doesn't resemble a wise person. What are you doing? This is the book of Jeremiah 49:7. Concerning Edom, thus said the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? He's mocking you, man. And Teman is those is the German, and this is where a lot of those small hats come from. Germany, Poland. Okay, that's why they call the Ashkenazi JEW. Ashkenaz is in the area of, Germany, because that land belonged to Japhet. So they're basically saying we're Jews who came from the region of Ashkenaz. They're not saying that they're Japhet, for you people out there who use that argument. Come on now. You're dealing with men who know the scriptures. You ain't gonna be able to get nothing like that off on the elect. Okay, people see Ashkenazi. See, they call themselves the Ashkenazi Jew. Well, no. How can you be an Ashkenaz? How can you be? Because Ashkenaz is the son of Japhet. How can you be Japhetic and Shemitic at the same time? How could you claim to be both? Either you came out of Japhet or you came out of Shem. The Jews came out of Shem through Arphaxad, eventually through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who had 12 sons. One of them was Judah, the 4th son, Judah. Okay? Anyway, is wisdom perished from Teman? Is wisdom no more in Teman? Okay. Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? So the Lord like, what's up? What's up with Esau? What's up with the heathen period? Y'all are out of there. Let's get Isaiah 44. I believe is, let's see. Where is it at? Diviner's mad. 44 and 5. Boom. Isaiah 44 and 25. That frustrated the tokens of liars and make it diviners mad and turn it wise men backwards and make it their knowledge foolish. This is foolish.
They believed the Willow chip had started to create its form of communication, something beyond our understanding, something that the rules of classical physics couldn't explain. The truth is that Willow had made a strange encounter. And what Google did next left everyone completely shocked. Google decided to shut the project down. No one knew why, not at first. No formal reasons were given, just a quiet decision to pull the plug on one of the most ambitious projects in the history of computing. People began to wonder why Google shut down a chip that was breaking records, a chip that could solve problems no one had even dreamed of before.
And on top of that, Microsoft has come out with their breakthrough quantum chip that creates a new state of matter.
What would the world look like with a computer that could accurately model the laws of nature? Now is one of our longest running research projects. Our team at Microsoft has been able to take a subatomic particle that has only been theorized until now, and not only observe it, but control it, creating an entirely new material and a new architecture for quantum computing. One that can scale to millions of qubits on a single chip.
Meanwhile, the people are catching hell, but this is what they're doing.
This is not a work of science, it's a work of science and art.
It will solve problems unsolvable by the combined power of all the world's compute today, and promises to revolutionize fields such as medicine, material science, and our understanding of the natural world. Our first quantum processor based on this architecture is the Majorana 1.
Every single atom in this chip is placed purposefully. It is constructed from ground up. It is entirely a new state of matter.
And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want.
So when I put these things together, thinking Tower of Babel, they need a king over them, which is represented by Nimrod, and Nimrod the hunter made me think of Orion, because Orion's belt lines up, the star pattern lines up with the pyramids. And then it dawned on me, like, wait a minute, the obelisks, because I saw this image, right, that the pyramids in Egypt are just the tips of gigantic obelisks underneath the ground. And it made me think of the obelisks in America from Boston, which the Bunker Hill Monument was the largest, tallest stone-built obelisk in the world at the time.
You can get into that, but yeah, they're tapping into all of that that madness, man. Okay, it says here back in it says, the counsel of the wise counsels of Pharaoh has become brutish. Here he means senseless, irrational, like animal instinct. And Esau's, this is senseless. Even Egypt's top advisors and their spiritual or scientific experts are being exposed as ineffective. The real wisdom is lacking, even though they have prestige. And who's this speaking to? The elite of this world, man. They're in the seat of Pharaoh, but their wisdom is lacking. See, they're boasting in, let's listen to this. Look at the type of stuff Esau doing.
After helping a paralyzed man play online chess by using his thoughts, Elon Musk's neuroscience startup Neuralink is now aiming to restore vision in individuals who are blind. The startup has announced that it is now all set to implant its first vision chip in a human by the end of this year. The new vision chip is called BlindSight. Neuralink's technology, which aims to restore vision by surgically placing a microelectrode in the brain's visual cortex. The visual cortex is the part of the brain that is responsible for receiving and interpreting visual input from the retina. The array has been designed specifically to stimulate neurons, which will then help the brain generate a visual image. Musk claims that the implant has the potential to give sight to individuals who are blind, even those with damage to their eyes and optic nerve. And that's as long as the visual cortex is functional. If successful, this technology could allow people who have been blind since birth to see.
And we're hoping later this year to do our first device implant for human enabling someone who is completely blind to see. It's going to be low res, of course, like in hard graphics, so I want to set expectations appropriately.
Interestingly, blind sight might also allow users to perceive wavelengths beyond the visible range, like infrared.
So he's trying to Salaki, I had that too fast. He's basically making himself into a god. He's using his technology to declare himself to be God, because Yahweh Shai did that. Okay? And he's doing it through left-hand means. Okay? He's mimicking a savior, but he's tricking you. Okay? He's tricking you through these two horns like a lamb. Again, the word horns in Revelation 13 is kiras, which means a savior, someone who comes as though they're going to help you. So they came as a lamb, and they're pushing it as this innocent little helping, loving technology. But in the grand scheme of things, they're seeking to hijack the earth, outdo the Most High, man. This is Matthew 11:5. This is what the Lord told John's disciples to go tell him. It says, the blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached unto them. See? This is what Yahweh Shai was doing. To prove that he was the son of the Most High, he did it by first of all, through his words, but his actions proved that was him. Okay? So the blind received their sight. All right. Ultimately, Yahweh Shai was doing that. And there's particular people who blind may believe the Lord gonna make you see again. Miracles are getting ready to start happening. The Lord is getting ready to put this is the book of Acts. Read the book of Acts. Just read it and go through it and look at what they were going through and all the hell they had to catch. But it was beautiful. They were winning. Okay? So Esau is trying to set himself up in the position of a savior. Okay?
Startup has announced that it is now all set to implant its first vision chip in a human by the end of this year. The new vision chip is called Blind Sight, Neuralink's technology, which aims to restore vision by surgically placing a microelectrode in the brain's visual cortex.
Now, when you get Revelation 13, when you look up the Chai Psi stigma, what I'll do here, because when you get Revelation 13 and 18, it says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And again, we always go into it, but when you look up 666 in the Greek, okay, hold up. So I didn't mean to click that. Oh, here we go. It's Chai Psi stigma. Now, Chai is the first letter in Christ or anointed. And as you can see, it's an X there. So you get the sense he's going to try to X out of the anointed and set himself up to be the anointed, to set himself up, okay, to receive an eternal blessing as the son of God, but by left-hand means. It's not going to work. Again, what does the scripture say in Psalms, the 2nd chapter? Okay, I have set my king on my holy hill. See, the heathen are lifting up their head. We'll get that. Because their plan is that Yahweh Shai doesn't reign. And then you get Zai, so Chai, Zai, stigma, right? Let's look this up. Let's just go to it and look it up this way. So you have Chai, Zai, stigma. Okay, and we know what stigma means. Okay. If not, we'll show you. As a matter of fact, we'll just read this. All right. So you have Chai Psi stigma. We'll show you Psi. Okay. It says stick, prick, stizo. Okay. A mark pricked or branded on the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token to their gods. Okay, they made, oh, so now this is going to be done digitally. So we're in that system. This was an ancient custom, but now they have the technology to bring this about on a whole nother level. It's further than a tattoo. It's further than a brand. The idol is now in you. The oath is in you. You've made a covenant with death. Okay? It says Chi, Psi, Stigma. So we know what Chi and Xi means, right? Or we know what Chi and Stigma means. Well, you have Chi, Psi, Stigma. Okay, Stigma, as you see here, the uppercase way of it is those 3 lines. And we see those 3 lines. You know, certain fonts may do it, but we know the overall meaning of that. That goes back to the Greek. Okay, those 3 lines are tied to, all right, a lot in this world. Even Elon's, Tesla logo. All right, Biden-Harris's administration logo had the 3 lines as the E. Okay, this is the uppercase form, and the lowercase forms look like a little serpent, look like a little snake, but it's really hard to pin down because it gets into a lot of when you go into what this Xi represents. So Chi, Xi, Stigma, and it speaks to what we're witnessing in a sense. Okay. And it says it has the value of 60. It was derived from the Phoenician or Hebrew letter Samach. And as you can see, that looks like a digital grid, a tower. Okay. It looks like a grid, but it means support, help. Okay. That's what it links to, support or help. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me. Okay. It said, yep, support, turning aside, twisting, protection. Woo! So it has many meanings. And they are turning aside, but they're trying to put themselves in the position of a protector. But when you go into it, okay, it deals with, physics. The uppercase is used in various contexts, pure mathematics. And these codings, and that's what they're doing. And they're trying to tap into, they're trying to link their carnal, all right, creations and nano to you. And they want the charagma in you. As a matter of fact, King Charles enthusiastically embraces, all right, this, okay, editing. Okay, this is what they own. Okay, this is what they own, man. King Charles plots to accelerate UN 2030 agenda goals, complete digitization of humanity. Okay, and we ain't got to read all into it. AI God about to take over the world? Transmorphosis. It's a book they're selling. It's a new religion. Okay, technocracy, the full digitization of everything. So when you read Xi, mathematics, okay, coding, physics, see that? Particles, that's what they tapping into. You see what I'm saying? That's what they tapping into. I mean, it's got so much more. But again, yeah, it's used in Tesla. You see that? Razer, Biden, had those 3 lines. Banners, Zay, all right? It's everywhere. It's in a lot of codings. And to get into, quantum physics and quantum computing and all of that, I'm not going to do that. It's just wicked. Okay, but they're showing you that they're able to use left-hand means to bring about miracles, man. Okay?
Visual cortex is the part of the brain that is responsible for receiving and interpreting visual input from the retina. The array has been designed specifically to stimulate neurons, which will then help the brain generate a visual image. Musk claims that the implant has the potential to give sight to individuals who are blind, even those with damage to their eyes and optic nerve. And that's as long as the visual cortex is functional. If successful, this technology could allow people who have been blind since birth to see.
And we're hoping later this year to do our first device implant for human enabling someone who is completely blind to see. It's going to be low res at first, like Atari graphics, so I want to set expectations appropriately.
Interestingly, blindsight might also allow users to perceive wavelengths beyond the visible range, like infrared, ultraviolet, or even radar. The blindsight implant was granted breakthrough device designation by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in 2024.
There you go. So why did the Food and Drug Administration get tied with tech? Okay, because I'll just you put two and two together.
What is 45,689 divided by 67?
Sure. He silently asks the computer and then hears the answer through vibrations transmitted through skull and into his inner ear.
681.925.
Exactly right.
One more. What's the largest city in Bulgaria, and what is the population?
The screen shows how long it takes the computer to read the words that he's saying to himself.
Sofia, 1.21 million.
That is correct. You just Googled that.
I did.
You could be an expert in any subject. You have the entire internet in your head.
He can't get the breakdown of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You can't get it, he can't sing the new song. So again, these are those miracles, man. Let's go back here real quick. We'll get a little bit more and close it out. I had other information, but we'll be back. It says how say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise king and of son of ancient kings. This is sarcastic. These counselors claim heritage and legacy, bragging about being heirs of ancient knowledge. And that's what the illuminated ones are all about. That's why they call themselves the Illuminati. That's why the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, calls them Lucifer, because what does Lucifer mean? Okay, the light bearer, the one who brings the light. Okay? It says, think of mystery schools, the occult, magic, astronomy. What did we just read in Isaiah, the 47th chapter, man? Let now your astrologers, let's go back. Isaiah 47 and 12. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so, thou shalt be able to profit. If so, thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the monthly prognosticators, come stand up and save thee from the things that shall come upon thee. See? And that's what they're trying to do. But as we did a video about 2 months ago, the Lord has allowed them to see that they're going to lose. So when he says he comes down with great wrath because he knows they have a short time, he knows that he's getting ready to lose. He knows that what we're saying is true. Okay? Let's get one more, and then we'll close it out. So Esau is losing it, man. This man is operating in a serious matter, man. But people ain't even tripping on it because they're caught into the left-right paradigm and the lies, man. See, we see past that.
This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. This is a really important video. I've talked about Elon Musk and the Neuralink ad nauseum for the most part because I continue to need to make people aware of the things that are going to come out. And of course, we need to pay attention to this technology in regards to false prophets and false miracles that we're going to continue to see. I don't know what people actually expect if they're waiting for some of these people to levitate in front of them, but I guarantee even when they do that, they will have an excuse and say that it is not a false miracle, that these people like Trump and Musk are not false prophets, that they are not antichrists. But Elon Musk's Neuralink to implant what they're calling blind sight in the first human in the year 2025. Okay, remember, Neuralink Synchron is Elon Musk's competitor, which is not really a competitor. This is all DARPA technology that the government's releasing, and they're releasing it through corporations that you're going to go and buy these things thinking that they're going to cure this disease or make you feel this way or make you live longer. So Neuralink is for the conservatives. Synchron is the one being marketed by Bezos and Gates for Democrats. But these are the diseases that they're starting to cure, like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and now blind sight. Last year, Neuralink's first patient got the brain chip. Okay, it's been 1 year since he's got no side effects. You see where this is going? So Neuralink is coming out with Blindsight, and you're going to hear nothing but positive chatter about it, of course, from conservatives, the ones they're trying to deceive, the ones who have been yoked up with Elon Musk. If Elon
And the scriptures give you the outcome to the people who start taking this tech, putting this stuff in them. It says they're going to have a grievous sore. And when you go into it, it links to CANCER. All right. And pretty much you're going to be through. You're going to have boils all over you. You're going to be through. Because you're looking at him like he good. So I can do it, man. Y'all going to lose, man.
Elon Musk did not yoke up with Donald Trump, if he did not become the face of that fake campaign where he was pretending that he was the one who was putting all his money into it, he was on the stage every day with Trump, if he didn't do that, Christians and conservatives would not be able to get duped by this guy. This is the same guy who was pushing the electric vehicle, which conservatives are supposed to be opposed to, down everyone's throat. Now conservatives are on board with it. So it's going to be very easy to transition here into people accepting this technology. So Elon Musk's Blindsight chip implant. Elon has said his brain chip startup Neuralink aims to have its artificial visual prosthesis Blindsight implanted in a human for the first time this year. We're hoping later this year to have a first device implant for humans, enabling someone who is completely blind to see. Completely blind. What does that sound like to you? A completely blind person suddenly having the ability to see. Well, we know that Christ cured the blind. Christ healed the blind. Christ is the one who can make the blind see. So wouldn't you expect false miracles to occur by people who are doing the same exact type of quote-unquote miracles, which are false deceptions on the human public? Here is Elon Musk. For anyone out there who hasn't heard, here he is out of his
That's what he's doing. He's trying to outdo the Most High Son.
own mouth, talking about Neuralink Blindsight. And remember, he has recently trademarked telepathy, telekinesis, and now Blindsight. These are all the names of the products that are going to be sold to people, and through their free will, they're going to purchase these products and put these products inside of their body. Listen.
The next product is Blindsight, which will enable people who have lost both eyes or have no eyesight whatsoever to see. And this is directly interfacing with the optical processing areas of the brain. So, I think this is interesting progress. Ultimately, the goal of Neuralink is to have a high bandwidth interface in order to mitigate the risk of digital superintelligence.
So it's incredible that we can hear that and people still don't pay attention to it. They still don't. We're talking about curing the blind, okay? How many Bible verses do we hear about false Christs and false prophets? Let's just read a few. Matthew 24, chapter 24, verse 24. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect.
And they ain't going to be able to lead the elect astray. But the Bible foretells this, that he would deceive people by these miracles, man. So once you apply the wisdom, you see child-sized stigma. This is that child-sized stigma. This is the man tied to that number. That's why you see the 666 everywhere. Look at CERN. It's like 5 6s. You look at the WEF. If you look at the logo in the spirit, all right, you'll see it. It's hidden everywhere. Even in the Taco Bell logo is a 6. Everywhere you look, you see this number because that's this man. This is he. All right. Revelation 13 and 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast that had a womb by a sword and did live. So you're giving yourself over to the concept of Rome through the revival of Rome, and you're bowing to their image, their gods, their way, their technology, their rulership, their governing, them being God. You're being recreated in their image. But the elect are separating from that. Okay, and people are gonna lose it when it really hits what they're doing and what their plans are. The mass majority of the people are gonna lose it. Yeah, people are drunk and stupid, but there's a lot of people who are like, wait a minute, this is too much. And again, he's gonna cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. So you can't tell me that this has nothing to do with it. Okay?
You have a guy who is trying to put a brain chip inside of people, who is trying to create smart cities, even building one out in Texas, who's getting a free pass because all he had to do was tell everybody he suddenly wasn't an atheist anymore and stand next to Donald Trump. And now, because they're victimizing him out in the public, because they're pretending that he's losing his money and that Democrats are protesting and blowing up Tesla stations, all of a sudden everybody's turning a blind eye to this. I wonder, who do people actually think? And I'm not saying that Elon Musk is the Antichrist or the false prophet, but I see people who just automatically dismiss that and say it's a crazy notion.
He's not. He's a part of the system, though. He is an anti-Messiah. Scripture said there's many anti-Messiahs, which that was talking about people who was rebelling in the church. But There's nothing left in this wicked world. This is wickedness,
The
man.
Antichrist is already covered. The Antichrist is Obama. How can we not look at this when we're talking about curing the blind, healing the blind, and we know that the Antichrist is an inversion of Jesus has tweeted out in the last couple of days? Because remember, this is the MO of their psychology they're doing now. If you pay attention to how they tweet, and it's not really them, Elon Musk is not tweeting every 45 minutes on his phone, or Donald Trump on True Social. They've got people in the palm of their hands. So they're sending these messages out, and then in between them, they're rotating in things like this. So while Elon Musk is talking about trans and crazy wokeness and taking down the government waste on spending and sending you $5,000 checks, he's tweeting this out. As I mentioned several years ago, it increasingly appears that humanity is a biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. So people will hear that and they'll go, I don't even know what that means. And if you actually read underneath the comments, the majority of those people don't know what a biological bootlegger for digital superintelligence means. So let's look at what a bootloader is, right? Data of an operating system must be loaded into the working memory during device startup. This is made possible by so-called bootloader, also known as a boot program or bootstrap loader. For this purpose, immediately after a device starts, a bootloader is generally launched by a bootable medium, like a hard drive, CD, DVD, or a USB stick. The boot medium receives information from the computer's firmware about where the bootloader is. The whole process.
So turning you into a goddamn trackable, traceable, a barcode. You can be you're scannable. You're a device that could be hacked.
Process is described as booting. So you're probably hearing that and go, I don't get it. You're talking about like booting up a computer, booting up a hard drive, booting up some type of technology. Is that what you're saying? A device, a CD player, a DVD player? Right. And he's saying that humanity is a bootloader for digital superintelligence. So he's talking about transhumanism out in the open. Well, he's talking about curing the blind and getting this tech inside of you that's going to cure diseases and help you live longer. Hence, in the book of Revelation, there'll be those in the end times who seek death and not be able to find death. How does a bootloader work? When you press the start button on a computer, the very first thing you see on the screen is information about the hardware installed. The software responsible for this notification is the device firmware mentioned above, which is usually implemented by manufacturers in flash memory of the computer's motherboard. Okay, so people hear this, they don't get it. They're saying that your computer that they're going to hijack using artificial intelligence, using tech, okay? Because most people don't even know what artificial intelligence is, even though Elon Musk has told you many times it's summoning the demon, and don't pay attention, okay? You're a computer system that they're trying to program. You're a bootloader, a biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. So they might market this to you and say you can be smarter, you can live longer, you can run faster, you can jump higher. Who knows how far the propaganda will go. But they'll get you on board when they start telling you that you won't get sick anymore, you won't have anxiety anymore, you won't ask why you have anxiety, why you're depressed, right? Because you won't look up
And this is not medical information. We're just in the news.
the chemtrails and the 5G towers, all things that Trump seems perfectly fine with, because of course he has a lot of these things were rolled out during Donald Trump's first term. And of course, extraterrestrials who seeded Earth with human beings, this technology inside of your body, and you operate like a machine, right? Don't forget, he also posted out in the last 24 hours himself.
Smartphones soon to become obsolete. BCIs like Neuralink are the way forward, says Elon Musk. Huh. Now he's with your president.
Remember when they won the election? Okay? Somebody tweeted out the Democrats won the election. Picture 4 people who are lifelong Democrats. Trump, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk. The Democrats won the election, and Elon Musk had some deep truths there. Truth in plain sight. Elon Musk creating a Neuralink is the thing that really matters for humanity to achieve symbiosis with machines. If successful, X will evolve to be the collective consciousness of humanity, or more accurately, the human-machine collective. He misspoke when he said the Democrats won the election, because he's not a Democrat or a Republican. He's a technocrat.
He's a Satanist.
Technocracy, the technocracy movement, the yin and the yang, right, was a movement based on society and government running via technology, also known as AI governance, the same thing that the World Economic Forum openly admits is their one ultimate goal, and the United Nations.
So they're going in, man. I didn't realize I was on this damn long. But I'll come back. But yeah, this is the modern day Egypt. We're living amongst we're watching witches and warlocks, really tap into some elite wickedness, man. Okay, it says the sons of the wise could be seen as the inheritors of ancient esoteric or mystical knowledge, maybe like the priest of Thoth or Hermetic scholars, which they're all back. This is a left-hand priesthood that they're all a part of a left-hand order. It says, but in this verse, that wisdom fails because it's divorced from divine truth. There's a critique here of human systems of power, intellect, and science that try to operate without moral or spiritual grounding. Institutions Today, institutions, tech elites, AI pioneers are celebrated as the wise, as the inheritors of an elite legacy, yet some argue this knowledge becomes brutish when it is driven by profit, pride, and disconnection from meaning or soul. And that's what Esau's trying to do, man. Okay? It says, Isaiah 19 is both a historical critique and a timeless truth. Human wisdom, no matter how ancient or impressive, can become foolishness if it's used arrogantly or without humility before a higher truth. Okay? And the Lord is probably using AI, all right? Because, of course, but he probably opened certain portals to give us these certain things to help bring out the truth, man. Claiming to be the son of the wise isn't enough. You need real grounded wisdom, not just legacy tech or ritual. So he's condemning himself. AI is condemning AI. How about that? So, you know, we're living in some very, very interesting times. You know, may the Lord cover his elect, man, because we're going to need covering through everything that's going on the earth, everything this man is doing. You know, the beauty of it is that when you read Revelation 15, the elect have victory over the beast, his image, and his mark, man. You know, so stand firm, stay strong. You know, may the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua be upon you sincere brothers and sisters. Shalom. UK Labour MP calls for digital IDs to help tackle illegal immigration. HOW warns that next demic could strike tomorrow. We in those times, man. Shalom.